Hey guys, before we start this episode, I wanted to talk to you about Type 1 lifting. So, Type 1 lifting is a clothing line that proceeds of the shirts and tanks and everything else goes to the Children's Diabetes Foundation. So, this all came about with me and seeing a 5-year-old girl in the emergency department that had new onset of diabetes. So, just take a look at the website. It's www.type1lifting.com. So just check it out. If you don't buy anything, that's perfectly fine. I would just like for you just to take a look and just see what we have. So, like I said before, www.type1lifting.com. And guys, I hope you enjoy the show. Hey guys, we have a new sponsor for the Type 1 Lifting podcast. The company's called Liberté Lifestyle. So Liberté is a French word meaning freedom, and the company was founded on the desire to have freedom to choose what we want to do with our lives. I actually had the owner, Nicole, on my podcast on episode 28, so if you want to go back and listen to her, she talks about how she started the company and what she wants to do in the future with the company, which is pretty cool. So they actually have knee sleeves, wrist wraps, shirts, shorts. Love the knee sleeves. I have the ice cream knee sleeves, and I love them so much. The neoprene's still good. The seams haven't split compared to other knee sleeves that I've had in the past, and I'm planning to keep these for a very, very long time. So Nicole actually gave me a promo code for you guys too. So it's all capital letters, TYPE, and the number 1. So it's Type 1. So go to libertelifestyle.com, check out what they have in the store, use the promo code Type 1, and save some coin. Now let's go to the episode. Podcast. I have 4-time CrossFit Games athlete Jordan Cook. How you doing today?
I guess technically I'm only a 3-time CrossFit Games athlete, but the 4th time got canceled.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I'll consider it. I'll
4-time qualified, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll let you say that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
Good. So congrats on that 405 clean that you did the other day. That was insane.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really exciting. That's like a lifetime kind of achievement goal for someone. I've been lifting since I was like 15 years old, so to be able to say I've done that number, I was like, oh, that's a good feeling. Like, I kind of told people, like, if I never PR ever again, like, I'll be okay with that. And whatnot. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. So the first time I actually got introduced to you was during one of the CrossFit videos. We were talking to Brooke Entz about right before you guys went on that swim, and you guys were talking about like getting ready and like saying, oh, don't forget your pre-WOD poop or whatnot, and stuff like that.
Oh gosh. You know how many times like I've had like family members like, I saw you on Netflix, and I'm like, really? And then immediately I remember that's the only thing that's out there of me is talking about going poop before you do a workout. Like, I get that pre-WOD poop done, and I'm like, oh, so glad that's my 30 seconds of fame talking about that. So that's too funny. I just had to be sitting next to Brooke Entz at that particular time, and that's why I was on there.
Yeah, very cool. So how did you get involved in CrossFit?
So I got involved in CrossFit. I was actually an Olympic weightlifter when I started Olympic weightlifting when I was like 15 years old. Did that competitively till about 19 or 20. I think I did the junior national stuff, collegiate national stuff. I was never really good. So like, I've kind of told people, like, when I tell people that, like, oh, kind of like Matt Frazier, I'm like, yeah, just way, way worse. On a very much lower level. So yeah, I had a extensive Olympic weightlifting background. I was part of a team called Team Texas Weightlifting. I loved every little bit of it. And then as I got a little older, I kind of a little burnt out on it, took a little break, and I was pretty hefty when I was like a weightlifter. So I eventually kind of I didn't know anything good about nutrition. And so I kind of took a break from weightlifting and started just trying to lose weight running and eating like very small meals throughout the day. Like this kind of like, I had no idea how to do it other than I was like, I cut bread out and stuff like that. I think I lost though, like over the course of like 2 or 3 months, I went from maybe 215 to like 180 pounds.
Wow.
And like, yeah, like, so it was pretty cool. Like I was like 20 years old or so when I went through that process. And through that process, I was like learning about CrossFit and like circuit training and kind of dabbling in that stuff. And then I guess really when I jumped more into CrossFit was I was riding my bike to work. I worked at this Globo gym type place. It was a really nice place. They had bumper plates and stuff at the time, which was kind of rare. I came across, I was riding my bike and I came to get to the gym I worked at. I had to ride my bike past the high school I went to and the high school track. And when I came past the track, I saw some guys working out and they were doing CrossFit. And lo and behold, there was Travis Williams there. And he was doing a CrossFit workout. And I've known him since like T-ball. Like we grew up playing baseball together and stuff, and went to school together. So I said, hey, Travis, mind if I jump in with you guys like next week or something? He said, sure. Showed up and I whooped their butt in a workout and I loved it. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like I started doing it like hardcore then, and they were like, they took me to a gym or something like that, and they're like, hey, so this is a snatch. And I was like, I threw on like 100 kilos and like power snatch, and they're like, oh, you already know how to do all this. I was like, yeah. So that was like really cool to be like, I have a good foundation for this. This is fun. I got my L1, worked at a couple gyms, and then I found CrossFit Bay Area. And that's really where I got my career started in CrossFit, I'd say, and whatnot. Dabbled with weightlifting and whatnot. And then I'd say after I didn't make regionals in 2013 because of one stupid workout, I just couldn't figure out how to go fast on. I made it like my goal for 2014 to make regionals. I just wanted to make regionals. So my buddy Nathan Souther turned me on to Misfit Athletics. And I want to say it was like fall of 2013 is when I started following Misfit Athletics at T. And I was like, not good. Like 20th place local comp. I followed this thing to a T. I did not budge. I worked hard at it. I was doing it by myself, except I would compare scores to guys on the blog back in the day when there was like 15 of us on the blog. Emailed between Seth and Drew at the time, just kind of say, here's my video, trying to hopefully get like a free shirt or something and get posted. Like dreams of the idea of a sponsorship back then was like the coolest thing ever, I thought.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, like I think the Open came and I made it to regionals. I didn't like crush the Open. I just focused on like kind of one and doneing everything and whatnot, and then kept following it. We had a camp at CrossFit Bay Area. Actually, Dex talked about that camp when I met Dex Hopkins at CrossFit Bay Area. He talked about that in y'all's podcast together, and that was a pretty transformative weekend, I think, for a lot of us there. That was kind of like the first, like, this is the Misfit of this, like the South, and we had a lot of athletes there that have done pretty cool things in the CrossFit world. Got a good vibe from the guys there, and just loved what they were doing. And I think at regionals, like, kept following the regional prep and stuff. And next thing you know, I won the South Regional that year. And, like, I was just hoping to get, like, top 20.
Yeah,
and
nice.
I was an underdog and, like, kind of whooped up on the region. I think it was, like, all up my alley, too. So I just didn't realize I'd do that well. So broke out, made the CrossFit Games that year, got to meet a lot of cool people. And that kind of, from there, I was like, I'm a CrossFit Games athlete, and I want to do this.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So, yeah, I believe I was looking at CrossFit.com about, like, I looked at you on it, and so from like 14 to 15, that was like a huge jump for you, with, obviously you said you did the Misfit to a T, and probably did all the bitch work and stuff like that, and so.
Oh yeah, man.
So when you were doing before that, you had like a decent base of weightlifting. So was your endurance kind of like the thing that was lacking for you, you think, to make it to the next level?
What's funny is I think for me, like, I had all the tools necessary. I don't think I had the right character to, like, make it to the next level. I always struggled with that, like, I was always struggling with, like, being the guy that would, like, rep shave and stuff like that, because I was so nervous about losing. And because I followed Misfit to a T, I just remember like a particular season of training by myself. Like it built so much character of like I can do this workout and do it correctly. And I think like through that it was like I built so much confidence and like I could face a workout head on. Like I can do that unbroken. I'm just going to do it to like how I've been training. You know, and maybe also too like, you know, just the following the program and not jumping from all over the place. Like back in the day, we used to jump from one workout to the next, not guided in any way. It was no method to the madness. And while people might think CrossFit is like that, like these programs are not like just random. Like we are geared towards certain things. And so once following this, I think I got pointed in the right direction, built better character and how to train and whatnot. And I think that was really what I was lacking before I kind of was able to make it to the
Very cool. Yeah, because I remember like when I first started, I was at a gym at an Air Force base for a little while and just doing their program, and then I'll be like looking on Instagram and be like, oh wait, that looks like a spicy workout, so let me just do this one. And then like there was like you said, no method to the madness. It was just like doing random workouts, and then realize I'm like, okay, I need to get better. And so that's when I joined Misfit, and I was like, okay, I need just to stick with this. And I mean, I've seen tremendous gains from like you know like weightlifting wise, so it's insane.
Absolutely. Misfit Athletics is an amazing program. I think it'll work for pretty much anybody, like, whatnot. You know, like, I don't think that there's, like, one perfect program for anyone.
No, yeah.
I think it's a matter of, like, having the thing that will work for you and being able to stick with it. Like, the consistency thing is so big. Like, if you're going to pick a program, stick with it and work it hard. You're going to see results. You know, if you want to be a good all-around CrossFit athlete, Misfit Athletics provides a good template for that. You know, maybe not like perfect for like, you know, specializing for you, but your overall fitness is going to go up if you do the work. And it's just, that's what it did for me. You know, it wasn't like, hey Jordan, what's your weakness? It's like, hey, here's the workouts, do it, you'll get better. You know, and that's what I did. And, you know, I also learned, I learned how so much about myself in programming through their program. So, like, a lot of the way I program for people and gyms now is based off a lot of what I learned from them. You know, you got to give them credit for that.
Yeah, very cool. So, when did you get sponsored by them?
After I won the region.
Okay.
Yeah. So they had like one actual Misfit sponsored athlete at the South region that year, Cameron Wilson. He was this hoss of a dude that he just had some raw strength, man. That dude was fit. And he was a bigger dude though, so the body weight stuff kind of hurt him quite a bit. But the dude was a monster, you know. And I'm pretty sure he still is. Like I worked really hard to get to the strength level I am, and I've lost a lot of overall fitness to get there. That dude doesn't have to like do that much time and effort to get that strong. It's just crazy. Anyhow, he was there, so Seth and Drew and like a lot of the main Misfit guys were there at the South region that year, or South Central region that year. And so they basically were there kind of coaching us and supporting us. And I mean, by the end of the weekend, they were like, dang, Jordan's about to win. They're seeing it up close. And then, you know, we got a lot of good interaction. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, maybe after all the regionals were done, we're planning the games training and stuff. Because I was their first like Misfit athlete to make the games. And so they gave me a lot of attention. And it was awesome. I learned a lot. I got really fit that summer training for the 2014 games. I mean, they beat me to hell on some days, but it was awesome. I loved it. Good experience, you know. And that was when they said, "You're a Misfit. You're a sponsored athlete." And it's kind of changed up how I think they do it over the years and stuff. But you know, you still have like your core members who like they're athletes that are like, "This is a Misfit athlete," and whatnot. But yeah.
Very cool. So when you went to the CrossFit Games for the first time, were you like starstruck at all? Like were you like, holy crap, I'm here! Like, you know, oh my gosh, it's so and so. You know, it's so and so. Did you get like just in awe of like what was happening?
Absolutely, I did, dude. I had no expectation of making it to the games that year, and the fact that I got there, like I got obliterated. I was fit, but not like top even I think I got 36 2 years in a row. Like I was never a good individual games athlete. I could make it there and whatnot, but man, that first year when I got there, I remember specifically, like, if you ever gone to the games in Carson, we stayed at like the Marriott Hotel, and it was really nice and big, and they had an entire dining room that was Rogue Fitness out, like for us to go work out in. Like if we whenever we want. One day I'm in there, I'm doing some power snatches or something, and like it fills up with all the dudes. I mean, I look over and Jason Cleef is there, Rich is right next to him. And I'm like, my heart's like kind of going because like, holy F, these are the guys. You know, I've watched so many videos on them now. You know, and they're like my height. I always picture them being bigger, just like you always do, and after watching them on TV and whatnot. And it's funny is, like, Rich was the guy, right? Like, and I mean, he still is the guy, you know, that people seem like that, Rich Run. And like he was talking to Jason, and I wanted to meet him so bad, so I walked up and was like, "Hey man, I'm Jordan," and he just stuck his hand out while talking to Jason and shook my hand. I was like, "Okay," you know, and like I was like, "Just keep to your corner. You're a rookie. No one knows who you are." You know, but I made a lot of good friendships that year. Like that was really cool to meet a lot of different guys that I still kind of, I don't keep super in touch with a lot of guys, but I know them, and I feel like I could reach out to them and talk to anyone just to catch up. But it was definitely a starstruck year. And heck, I still probably get that. Like, I mean, if Matt came like into my gym then like today, I'd be like, what the F? Like, I mean, he knows who I am, but that's still Matt Frazier. Like, you know, it's still a dude beyond my level. So I still probably get it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So, what made you decide to go from individual to team?
So I missed out on going individual. Like I missed making the games in 2016, which I was really, really bummed about. Like that hit me pretty hard. I thought I was in. The workouts were my alley again. I had 2 bad workouts that just I did not perform on. You know, it was weird. I hadn't had that experience yet. I was arrogant, cocky. It was a good, humbling experience. I learned a lot from it, and then after that year, I wanted to move. I had never gone off the score at any point. I just wanted to do something different. And so I moved to Portland, Maine with the Misfits. I was living with Matthew Sherburne and his fiance, Noelle. And, you know, it was great living there and stuff. Like, they were very generous people. But Maine was just hard on me. Mm-hmm. I did my individual season up in the Northeast. I moved from South Central to the Northeast. This was Matt Frazier's and Patrick Bellner's region. Mm-hmm. Like, what was I thinking? If I wanted to make it back as an individual, I moved to the toughest region from most likely the non-toughest region. You know, so I just wanted the experience. I wanted to prove that I could do it, and I didn't train well throughout the year. I didn't handle the season like that was my first experience of a real winter. Yeah. I didn't have a whole lot of friends up there. I mean, I met my wife there. Like we started dating when I was there and whatnot, and so you know that's obviously a great thing that happened out of it. And I learned a lot about that experience. But I look back, I was like, man, I was in a dark place. Like while I was there, it was just different culture. Different environment I wasn't prepared for. Yeah. When I moved back, my body was achy. I moved back to Texas, got a new job as a coach at a different gym. I was like, back to individual. I can do this. Just want to make it back one more year. And then me and Travis Williams were training together, and all of a sudden Dave Castro announces teams are now going to be 4-person teams. And I was like, dude, let's go team. And he's like, yeah, I'm in. And let's make a team and go whoop on Frazier or Frony. And like looking back on that, it's pretty funny. But because we have done team stuff all throughout off season. We've done team series with like Alexa Johnson and Carrie Pierce. Yeah. And we had a blast. It was fun, and we were good team athletes. And so did that. I think me, Travis, and Chandler Smith won Wadapalooza in 2016 as a team of 3 guys, and that was really fun. Did a team again the next year with like Travis and Logan Collins. We got 4th. So I've done so much team stuff like in off season that I was like, you know what? Like if I make it individual, I'm just gonna suck and get free gear. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. Like, it's a really good feeling, but like, I just was tired of like that. I wanted to see if I could get close to the podium. Only way I'd be able to do that is through team. So we went team, recruited a couple girls. It wasn't the best team, wasn't the best personalities for the team, but we learned a lot from it. Man, we got fit that year though. That was the fittest I've ever been going into the CrossFit Games because of the teamwork we had to put in on that stupid worm. Mm-hmm. That worm is so awesome. I love it. So, I guess that was really just, it was simply, we wanted to have a fun year and try and be on the podium, and we almost were like considering, I think we got 5th place at the games, team yep. Don't Stop.
Yeah.
And really what held us back was like one of our girls, like her back was like basically broken. She had to have surgery like a month later. I remember like she would be just in tears. Like she could hardly lift the barbell, hardly run. Like we were like, what is with her this weekend? She just was like, I'm fine. All tears are like going down her face. I'm like, do we need to pull out? She goes, I'm not pulling out. So there was like 5 or 6 events that kept us really like, because she just wasn't able to perform, honestly kept us from the podium. Like we weren't beating Mayhem. They were so good, man. We dominated like 2 events and that was it. And then did terrible on some others. So although the experience was a blast, mm-hmm. like I was like, team, I'll do team. This is so much fun. I think the next year, 2019, planning on going team with like Chandler Smith, trying to show Mackenzie Riley kind of. Mackenzie and China had reservations. Chandler was like, I think he was in, but I don't think he realized like how he was going to make the game that year. Like individual. He was like 2022 when I was military. That was his mindset. He wasn't like, he was like amazing person to be around. But he had a hard time like as a teammate, like just holding it together on himself. He put so much on his own shoulders and whatnot. So like we didn't always make the best team, I think, and whatnot. Not all the time. I think we got 3rd at Wadapalooza that year. That was the first sanctional I'd ever done for the team. We got 3rd, so we didn't qualify. And my wife ended up having surgery that year on her back, like a spine fusion done, which, like she had a really screwed up back. And so I ended up taking the rest of that season off. Then my last year was this past 2020. Built a team with Brandon Luckett, Alexis Johnson, and Emily Tanner, who lives here in Houston as well. And we went to Argentina and like we got 7th place out off the bat, and then won every single event after that.
Nice.
To make the games. It was one of the coolest, and that was the last time I got to be on the competition floor. Mm-hmm. That was my last competition. And that was looking back, I'm like, hey, you know what? We went on top. That was fun. That was cool. So yeah, I have no regrets going switching the team. I absolutely loved it. Yeah. So really cool experiences from both.
Very cool. So what did you think about when Castro talked about like how a team has to be like in 100-mile radius to be part of a team? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Is that like for this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't kept up too much with stuff this year. I didn't even sign up for the Open this year. I did one of the workouts and kind of just halfway did it.
Yeah.
I'm still like my Metcons are downhill. I just wanted to see how strong I could get before I started Fire Academy, and so like I was a little removed. But I have friends that are doing it that I tried to keep up with. I wanted, the Hey Beast for because they were very supportive of me over years. And I care about them. I want to see what they do. I want them to be successful. There is a team I kind of am working with, like down in Dixon called CrossFit Kima. I think they got a good chance of actually making it. So I'm trying to kind of keep up with stuff for them in case they need help with anything. But if that's true, 100-mile radius. It's cool for the affiliates, I think.
Yeah.
I really do. There's always going to be pros and cons to whatever decision's made, right? So, like, I think it's fine. I'm not like, oh, that's the best rule ever or terrible rule. I'm like, I'm neutral on that idea. I think the super teams was pretty fun. I thought that was cool, other than the fact that it was like, hey, like, you got to train together to be a good team. You just do.
Yeah.
Like, what's funny is like you take a bunch of individual athletes and put them on a team together. Man, ego gets in the way. whew, man, like, and I'm guilty of that too. Like, but one thing I learned is like, everyone has a freaking opinion, and it's just like, it just doesn't matter. I'm like, listen, like, you gotta do it one way. It's not like you can each do it your own way, and it gets hard to get there, especially if you don't spend time together and training together. And then on the opposite side of that, it's hard to be together all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you're gonna fight. Like, I had like training with dudes and doing teams of 3 with guys. Like, usually didn't have any drama. As soon as you added guys and girls into the mix, whew, there was drama, man. Like, it's just guys and girls train and think differently, I think, and it was a cool experience to learn how to overcome that. I definitely I like that. Setup. So the super teams was cool because you had a chance to beat mayhem.
Yes.
You know, and now who won second place? Who's gonna get second place?
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much.
That's what it is. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if I was rich, like, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win every year. But at the same time, it's like, oh, okay. Like, at least for the super teams, you got to see a lot of really big name athletes and stuff all on teams. So it's kind of excited to watch teams. For everyone, it's exciting to kind of watch, like, if you're a fan. Now it's going to be more exciting, I think, for the, like, more affiliate side. Like, hey, I've got a team for my gym is going to be there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably going to have some people relocate, whatnot. Either way, teams of 4 is the way to go. It's fun to watch. When a team puts it together out there on the field, you see it, and versus a team falling apart. Mm-hmm. It is and when a team falls apart, it's not their fitness level; it's teamwork and fitness level. It's just everything gets so hard. So it's kind of fun to, like, watch it. And I mean, I'm biased because I know what it's like out there, so I kind of know what's going on when I see, like, oh, that team cannot pick up that one. Their communication's off, their timing's off, and so that one just got 1,000 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
So. I feel like I have a better understanding of what's going on out there. So I enjoy watching them. Like, it's like, I'd rather watch CrossFit Games events than, like, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that's my sport. So I'm weird like that, though, I guess. So.
No, hey, whatever floats your boat, right? I'm a sports nut, so I'll, like, anything except for baseball. Like, my ADD, I just can't handle, like, sitting throughout the whole baseball game. And plus, like, being there, it's even worse. So, like, TV, you at least have, like, people talking to you, but, like, I can literally sit at watch a CrossFit game, like, the whole time, just, like, zone out, and like, even with the Super Bowl too. I mean, I'm a Patriots fan, so we've been there a bunch of times.
Yeah, you guys are doing okay, except for this past year. It's been a little
it's a little shaky.
But, it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm a Texan fan, man. Like, we never win. We've had some good lineups, just terrible, like, management coaching, as far as I know. So
yeah.
I don't get too committed, so I don't get too angry and whatnot. But what about like when at the games, whenever they do those just long, boring, like, all right, you're gonna be on a rower for 3 hours. You're like, I'm out. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well,
the funny thing is, I was looking at YouTube videos, and, like, they had the marathon rower on there, and there was like 830 something thousand views on the row, and I'm like, who would want to watch a 4-hour event like that? It's like, no, thank you. Like all I do is, like, fast forward it all the way to, like, like maybe like a 3-minute mark.
Yeah.
And then, like,
right, like, go see the last, who's gonna finish first. What did it look like getting off? That's all you care about. You have to think, like, I bet out of those 800,000 views, like, maybe like 30,000 of them actually watched the entire thing, if that. Like, I bet I would almost put money on, like, less than like 0.5% actually watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I
like
agree.
They probably just clicked on, like, oh, this is 3 hours of this, like, in and out.
Yeah. I can't imagine with, like, Sean Moylan and Tommy and, like, the rest of the guys, like, announcing that event, like, for 4 hours. Like, what are they gonna have to talk about?
Those guys are pros, man.
Yeah,
they figure it out. Like, I love, like, listening to Sean talk and, like, Tommy. Pat, like, I miss Pat being a part of it. Like, Pat was always fun to talk to. I like Pat. He's always really nice. And whatnot. So I enjoyed, like, listening to those guys talk. Like, Sean just has a voice for talking on, like, radio. Like, even listening to him on your podcast, it's like, this guy has the voice to be on like radio and TV and stuff. Like he is in the right profession.
Yeah, I was super nervous like talking to him. Like
I bet.
I
Like, I would be.
yeah, I interviewed Sean and Tommy like back to back. Like so Sean was first and Tommy's like actually Tommy Marquez is on next week. So
Okay. Yeah, I think I heard you said I was really excited about it.
yeah, so I interviewed them and like I was more nervous with Sean for some reason than I was with Tommy. I don't know why. It just I don't know. Just maybe the voice did it, but it was cool talking to him and then like asking him, how did I do on the podcast? And he's like, you did great. Like you did your homework. And I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah.
At least. And he's
Yeah,
like,
those guys are pros, so yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, at least you didn't go off the cuff like some other people I've done a podcast with, because I can't go off the cuff. I literally have like right beside your video like a list of things I want to talk about.
That's smart, man.
Yeah.
Like off the cuff is. I'm sure some people get away with it, but I think I don't think I could do that. I have to write talking points and stuff if I was in your position.
Yeah.
And those guys are cool, man. Like they always. I just remember like every year I made it to the games. Like I remember Pat. Like the second year I made it, he was, dude, I am so glad you made it back. Like, no one like really knew who you were last year. I thought it was kind of a fluke. I'm just glad you made it back and showed them, what's up. And like, so I get like stuff like that from like those guys. Like Tommy was always cool. Like, I never got to play with him, but like Travis and him, they would talk, crap all the time about like spike ball and stuff. And, like Tommy's like freakishly good too. Like he's just a cool guy, and like he's someone like I would nerd out with too. Like talking Marvel and stuff. Like he's really cool.
Oh,
and then
he's a huge comic book like superhero nerd, and like I am too. Like I'm a like super like comic book dork.
Dude, I actually this year I've read more comic books than I have in my whole life. Probably like my wife's like over here reading this like book in bed that's like something on trying to better your life, and I'm like over here reading like this anime manga or like DC or Marvel comic book on my phone scrolling and stuff. I'm like, yeah. So I got into like anime mangas and stuff like that. But and then and Sean, like they always just made you feel good. Like they remembered your name, they asked how you were, and they kind of genuinely knew stuff about you. They were good at their job, and it felt real.
Yep.
A lot of times you like people ask like, "Is this real?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Like, those guys are awesome. Like, they do a good job." And it seems like they genuinely care.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So I kind of want to talk to you about like Travis Williams. So I remember watching him like work out, and I don't know what it was like for you guys training with each other, because I know I remember watching the video of like when the Misfit guys reached out to him like via like Skype and said he's a Misfit athlete. They made him a sponsored athlete, but I've heard like that guy just like punches it, like puts the gas pedal on like right off the bat, and then just kind of like burns out. So like what was it like training with him in like kind of you have your set way of training compared to his way?
Well, first off, Travis is like a brother to me, so like we both would agree we're not best friends because like we can fight pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like we would leave the gym days like cussing each other out, like, "All right, you piece of shit," and then like, "All right, what time are we training tomorrow?" Like that was our relationship as training partners. We hated each other sometimes and whatnot. He's just a stubborn dude sometimes, and that you can see that in his competing and training. So Travis was a very much go out the door fast type of guy. He's kind of known for that, right? Like try and hold on. In training wise, I think that's genius. Like, why are you like? I don't believe in gaming every single piece. I think sometimes you need to test yourself and try and hang onto that bar and develop better fitness. And then from time to time, game something so you know how you can game something for a competition. But he had that mindset, and it bled over into my training because I wanted to beat him. He wanted to beat me. We wanted to beat each other. Every time we did a Metcon together, it was a competition. If I knew he was holding a 145 split on a rower, I knew I had to hold a 144. If I knew he was going to break on a set of 30 chest bars, I was going to go unbroken. And then vice versa. Like he knew he couldn't catch me on muscle ups, so he had to hang on to the barbell for a bigger set. Mm-hmm. It put us on a different level. I don't think it was the best mental place I've ever been, but physically, fitness-wise, it taught me how to push harder in the workout I ever had and not be afraid of, like, well, I don't want to blow up. Like, well, that's going to happen. Like, if you want to get better, you need to blow up, you know? So, you know, I think the weakness in that comes when you go to a competition and your adrenaline is pumping, your heart rate is going, you are ready to go 110% on this workout about to come out. And you do that, and you do blow up too fast because your body is going the extra mile. And you think you can just do that in every workout. I'm like, dude, you got 12 workouts this weekend. You got 8 or 9, whatever. And your body's not going to take that. You got to be able to know when to lay off the gas or how to game something a little bit better. So, yeah, I think there are pros and cons to that training set. And he definitely, I think he, you know, sometimes he would just do it, I think, to be stubborn. He would argue with you. If you kind of like set him off and you're like, hey guys, 1 + 1 is 2, you know, and he was like kind of mad at you. He's like, well, maybe it's 3. And then if you said, no, it's 2. No, it's 3 now. And we're going to fight about this. Like, you know, like he'll tell you that, I think, too. You know, he's grown up a lot, I think, over the last years, whatnot, but he'll still go to a competition like, oh, I'm going unbroken on this. I'm like, don't do it. Like, you're going to lose. Like, you know, like I think last Wadapalooza was his first individual competition back in the world of competition. And he did really well, like on the first 2 days. And there was a few workouts where he tried to like do something unbroken or go out the gate crazy hard and it blew up on him or something. But on the other side of that, like some of those game plans worked out for him. That's why he did well in the beginning. So, yeah, I think, while I think that's a great training mindset a lot of times, you definitely need to learn how to be a competitor at the same time. So, yeah, I think, you know, it was beneficial for me to train with them. You know, I learned a lot about how to go unbroken on stuff. You know, hey, fast and unbroken beats slow unbroken.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So.
So after the games and stuff like that, you know, you got obviously like doing like 12 workouts in one weekend, like from Thursday to Sunday, your body must be like completely wrecked. So how do you take like a time off or whatnot, or like what was your like agenda after the CrossFit Games?
So 14, I remember walking away from the 14 CrossFit Games thinking that was so much fun. I can't wait to get back training, and I want to make it back. That was a great experience. I think that was like one of the last big like OG years. Like you had like Giller, Jason Cuba, Rich there, and stuff like that. So that was really cool memories when I can look back at. I didn't feel that beat up at the end of the weekend. I was so tired, and I'm sure my body was more wrecked than I felt like mentally. So I took like 2 weeks off or something like that, and then I got back to training. I slowed it. I didn't like jump full speed, but I definitely got back to it. I was also 22 years old at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, recovery was like sleep 8 hours, eat pretty good, and I'm back to it. 2015, I finished the CrossFit Games and thought, I don't know if I want to come back. Like, that year wrecked me physically and mentally more than anything I've ever done. You can pretty much ask any CrossFit athlete, I think, that went in 15 and maybe another year. 15 was probably the hardest year that's ever been done, or most damaging, possibly, I guess is a better way of saying it. Just because we had the, you know, 1,000,000-degree Murph.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to ask that. Yeah, that was the Murph one. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the Murph year. I got like dead last in that, and I was like heat exhausted and everything. Like, feels like 115 degrees. You're on direct sun. You can't really walk away to go find shade and water. You're just stuck there. And I just was not ready for it. And I live in Texas, dude. I live in Houston, Texas. It's hot. So that year, like, and you know, and there was a number of things. I remember the amount of arm pull-up stuff that we did. Like, after Murph, then we did heavy DT and snatches, so there's more pulling. Then we had the bar muscle up and thruster thing. There was peg boards at the end of the weekend. And literally everyone had T-Rex arms. They were, like, trying to bend their arms, but they couldn't. Like, that tendon where, you know, like the bicep connects to, like, you know, to the forearm, you know, was just so tight that you couldn't extend your arm without pain. I mean, I would say like 80% of the people had that was competing that year. Like Matt Fraser was walking around with ice on his bicep for like at least like the whole last day. Like, it was just that bad. And so after that CrossFit Games, I took like a month off and I got chunky. I was kind of depressed. I was like, I hate this. I'm going to get big and strong. You know, I'm too weak for the CrossFit Games. I'm never going to win anything because I'm too weak. So, and I kind of got a little too hefty and out of shape. And I jumped into a team competition at Granite Games with like Sam Briggs, Garrett Fisher, I think Cole Holcomb. Yeah. And I was so terrible. I made that team get like, and we could have won. And I made us get like third place because I couldn't do certain things. I was like, I'm dying. Like, they were like, oh, you're out of shape. So that was a wake up call. I was like, Seth, my coach at the time, was like, yeah, you got to get back to it, bud.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so yeah, after that, I was like, that's when I kind of started hearing about Fraser's take on like after the game. Like, I think he had the benefit of winning, which helped him out, you know, but that dude had it down. Like, did you listen to Joe Rogan podcast?
Yeah, actually, I listened to it twice because I was like trying to figure out like what the hell the supplement was that he was talking about, and now
beta-alanine?
Yeah, and now like have you read the Morning Chalk Up thing?
Dude, I can't believe that. I bought beta-alanine because of it.
Yeah, because I was like looking around, I'm like, beta-alanine, really? And I'm like, okay. And then like I was looking at GNC to like get some, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't know. I mean,
Amazon.
Yeah,
Amazon. It's like creatine. It's kind of hard to mess it up.
Yeah, true.
You know, so, but I mean, like the science behind it's there. Like I read about or took beta-alanine I think in 2015 for that same purpose. So I just stopped taking it. And you know what's funny is like a lot of like what he said in that podcast about recovery, eating, nutrition, how to do stuff. I was like, dude, that's exactly what I did. I just didn't I wasn't as good. I wasn't as fit, and you know, but how he set himself up for success. You know, I was like, man, like I remember those days. Like I had to work and coach and stuff, like to live. Either way, I was never going to be that good. So I mean, I don't like to try to compare myself. Like, oh, if I had a setup, I'm not trying to say that, but like I just remember the days. Like, okay, sleep is the number one recovery tool. Mm-hmm. Then like nutrition, then active recovery. And it was like I tried to sleep 10 hours a night. I was ice cold room, blacked out, eating to the T, never going out with friends if I had to train hard the next day. And so it was kind of like, I just remember, it was like, man, it was getting me excited when I was hearing him talk. I was like, yeah, dude, those were like the best days. I loved it. And I was like, that was super cool, like to kind of hear him talk about like the lifestyle and whatnot. But the thing he did the best, I think, out of all athletes, and I think he had the ability to because of winning, was taking like, what was it, 2 to 3 months off after the CrossFit Games?
Yeah, I think he took like a month and a half or something like that off. I remember him saying that, and like I do remember him saying a couple times like he wouldn't use a certain knife because he's never used it before because he's worried he'd cut himself. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, that's like a whole nother level. Let's like,
yeah, I didn't go that far.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't go that far.
I can't imagine like his thinking of just like, okay, I really like, all right, Sammy, you have to do this, or like, because I don't want to, hurt myself.
Right. Well, and what's funny is like, I wasn't married at the time when I was that competitive. I was kind of a bachelor and lived with a roommate, my best friend at the time. Basically, like, Sammy, that's a good partner right there, man. Like, man, he found a good one. Like, I don't know her that well. I think I've only met her like twice. And it sounded like she's like, yeah, like this is a team. Like I'm here to help you out, and it was a partnership. So I was like, dang, that's lucky right there. Like that's pretty. Like that's a big piece of his, of his team.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole 3 months off or whatever. Like I remember seeing him at Granite Games one year after the games. It was like a month or two after the CrossFit Games. He won, and so I was like, hey, Matt, what are you doing? Like sponsorships and stuff. And he looked at, yeah, he's like, how's life? He's like, you doing good? He's like, being fat. And he looked happy. I was like, that's big. Like, and it was genius. It was genius. Take off to the time if you can, like, and recover. Like the amount of volume and training that it takes to get to where he does at the end of the year each year, you know, I was like, I think he just had it down to a T of like, let the entire body and mind reset. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's not. I just don't think what he did was sustainable for 12 months.
Oh, there's no way. No way.
You know, And so I think he just had it down. You know, not to mention, you know, I'm sure he has great genetics and stuff and the great setup to do whatnot, you know, what he does. But I mean, when he started doing that and you saw him just go from really good to darn near perfect, to me, that was like so cool to see it optimized, you know? So I never went to that level of taking that much time off, but like hearing about stuff like, you know, him doing that, I'm like, and, you know, what's cool about him is he's humble enough to like admit, dude, I did what the best of other sports did too. Like I learned, instead of saying like, oh, I need to figure out what I can do, I need to do my research, he just asked them like, hey, like, what do you do? I'll do what you do. I was like, that's genius. Like learn from the best of other things. Like, so yeah, I think, you know, that's what athletes should do, but it also takes a lot of time and money to be able to do that. So,
yeah. So speaking about money, what do you think could be a way of, you know, athletes getting more money and making this their like full-time, you know, job instead of just like, you know, having like a side job and doing CrossFit at the same time? But what would you think would be a good opportunity for CrossFit to help them out to be like full-time athletes?
Wow. I'm not too sure, honestly. I don't, you know, like, do you think we have like a big enough sport that's possible? Like, you know, like there has to, like, you have to think about the investment, like it take to do this. And also like, you know, it's like, there's so many athletes and stuff like that are just in different boats and different positions, you know, and it's not really about who's the best and how good you are. I mean, you got to market it. So it's like, you could be a crappy athlete and have 100,000 followers on Instagram. Like, you're going to get the sponsors, you're going to get the pay. And, you know, like, I remember thinking that a lot of times, like, I'm better than this person. Why do they have so many followers? More than me, you know, like, you know, and whatnot. And so
it's because they mostly have their shirts off. That's why. And so they're like, oh, follow, because I want to look
follow.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my problem. I just never looked that good. I honestly was like the fluffiest, like, fit dude out there. Like, I don't know. Maybe Chad had me beat at that, but I just never looked super fit. I was fit, but I just, like, my buddy would be like, my best friend, I remember at the 2014 games, like, took a picture of me on the field next to Rich and then sent it to me, like, with quotation marks or something on a bubble, like, Rich talking to me, like, how'd you get here without abs, bro? Like, just because I didn't have a six pack or anything. So I was just like, I don't know.
But you don't need to. I mean, if you have a strong enough core, you should be perfectly fine for it. So
yeah, I mean, look at Ben Smith. The guy is like, he doesn't look like super jacked, but that man is a monster.
Yeah,
he won the CrossFit Games one year. So, yeah, I don't think the looks matter. But I mean, if you're trying to sell for social media, like that for sure will help. Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think I have the right answer for what would it take to get athletes better pay and stuff. Well, you have to have the viewers, right? Like, you know, it's not the MLB, it's not NFL. It's you know, it's owned by a company right now too. So, you know, hopefully, you know, over time, I think it's a time thing. You know, over time they get more and more views. The CrossFit Games becomes more legitimate. You know. I think that the fact that it changes like every single year of format doesn't help, because companies are probably hesitant to jump in on stuff like, wait, what is it this year? Like, I need to have guarantee of like return on this. So, you know, usually I would imagine like the amount of changes that we went through over the past 4 or 5 years.
And the change of the CEO too, which I don't think I think the new regime now is actually going to be a lot better compared to the older regime, but that's just my opinion. But
no, I agree with that. I agree with that too. You know, I think that there was a lot of good things with the previous owner and stuff like that. But I think I've heard too many stories about just like inconsistency, and kind of crazy like fits, I guess, like even Sean mentioned that in y'all's podcast, like, when his boss came in, was like, hey, just said Greg's having one of his fits, so be ready for some possible changes. And it's like that kind of talk just means like, oh, no, that's not what you want in a leader. You want consistency, someone you can trust and whatnot. And look towards is like, hey, like we're all on the same page. We have a goal down the road. So I've never met Eric Rosa and whatnot. I've heard good things about him, and I really hope that he's extremely successful in growing both the sport and the CrossFit. Because I mean, it's just a good thing. It's a good thing that can help so many people, and so I have nothing but hopes for success with them.
Yeah.
And I hope the sport does get bigger. I really do. I love the sport of it. I think it's still so young, like, so I bet it takes, if it keeps growing, like I bet it takes 50 years before you get, maybe like to a very big legitimate stage, I mean, think about how long the NFL's been around and MLB and NBA, like your big sports. So who knows? I could be completely wrong. I'm not a economics major or marketing guy. So, really kind of just, spitballing what's popping in my brain about what I think would work,
I mean, everyone has an opinion, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you're actually moving to another area of life. So you actually got into the Fire Academy for Houston, which congratulations, by the way. Is it Houston Fire Academy?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Houston Fire Department Academy. Yeah, so I'm a cadet with Houston Fire Department.
So what made you get into that? What made you get into the fire department?
So it kind of happened really quickly, actually. I had been trying to figure out something. I've been a coach for a very long time. Like I have my own program, my own LLC called like Pathway Fitness. So like I program for people and stuff, like, and program for a couple of gyms and stuff, and whatnot. So I love doing that. I'll probably always do that, like for as long as I can. And I do a lot of personal training and stuff like that. That was my main gig for a long time, and there's not a lot of stability in that. There's no benefits in that, and it's just there wasn't too much room for growth in that, in my experience, like for what I wanted to do. I never finished school growing up and stuff like that, like college and whatnot. I didn't know what to go to college for. I took like a class, I think, in the fall semester just to kind of get my foot in the door. I was a terrible student growing up, and I was always nervous about going back and failing. So, like, I went into a class, aced it, felt really confident, but I was like, I don't have time and money to go to be a full-time student again. Like, I've got a wife, we want to have kids. I'm like, I have to figure out something. And I think it was Travis. Like, I had a couple buddy clients that are HFD, and Travis was already trying to do firefighting. So that kind of got my interest peaked, right? And started looking into it, the hours, the type of job it was, and man, then I remember every time I drove by like a fire station or I saw firefighters, like, that is a cool freaking job, and they make a big difference in people's lives, and I could do that. It'll be hard, it'll be challenging, but I saw that, I was like, dude, I can do this, and it will make a difference in my family's life, my life, and I'm like, dude, that is experience that I won't get in CrossFit. Like, I will learn some crazy cool things through that. And I was like, that's I remember on one of our orientations, that our chief was like talking about like the way he talked about it was like, we want you guys to pass, but I'm not going to put you out there if I don't think you're going to help my brothers out there. And just the kind of talk of like, the brotherhood of it, and just the respect that comes with that type of job, the difference you're making, that really just got me excited about it. And the fact that it allows me to stay within the CrossFit world. I'm not going to be like, working 9 to 5 at some oil, refinery or something like that, whereas like I'm too tired to go coach or something. Like I get days off where I can still coach people and pass on the knowledge I have of fitness and whatnot. Heck, I could, possibly pass it on to other firefighters and stuff like that. So that's what got me onto it. So December I applied. and HFD is pretty short on manpower, so they were trying to get it going quickly, and I thought I was going to be starting class in June, which the academy is about an 8-month process with HFD. That's from like Monday through Thursday from like 6 a.m. to like 4:30 p.m. So it's a long day.
Yeah.
That you go to the academy. It's kind of like paramilitary type style. Like I would show up like best uniform, stuff like that. I got to shave my beard starting tonight, like clean shave. I am not looking forward to it. I have the ugliest face under this beard. I got such a round baby face. My wife got a kick out of it when I first shaved for like I hadn't shaved in like 10 years.
I was just gonna ask you that too. Yeah.
And I mean at least 10 years of no clean shave. As soon as I clean shaved, I look in the mirror, I was like, I look 18. I look like my graduation photo from high school. I hate this and whatnot. And we can't have any facial hair through the academy or whatnot. I got to be kind of pretty clean cut. I think I can grow a mustache as soon as I graduate. And I'm like, that is going as soon as I graduate. That little caterpillar on top of my lip is going to be there. So
Nice.
I'm going to grow that sucker. And like my face needs some facial hair. Otherwise, I look too young. So anyhow, I thought I was going to start in June. And next thing I know, like, they're like, hey, you're going to start the April class. I was like, whoa, okay. Like, I went through all this stuff, paperwork, stuff to get into it. And boom, they're like, you're starting April 19th, which is tomorrow, right? So, yeah, I go in tomorrow morning and I start my 8-month course. Like, I think the first 6 weeks are EMT training. And then after that, it's fire training after that. And so I'm really excited. I'm nervous, but excited, anxious. I'm going to be studying pretty hard over the next 6 to 7 weeks for the National Registry exam and whatnot. But yeah, I'm excited about like, man, like I was sitting at some store to get my uniform, and 2 firefighters walked in, and I just looked. I was like, gosh, those guys look cool. I was like, those guys look cool. They got their walkie-talkies, got their blue uniform on, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to, see what kind of, like, it's going to be challenging, but I'm excited to see what kind of difference I can make in people's lives. Because I believe I do that already with the coaching I do. I think I get to make a difference in people's lives. This is just on a different level, I think, in a different way.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I'm going to get to reach people that won't, like, I would never meet without, like, in the CrossFit world. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool, too.
Very cool. So I was actually an EMT when I went to the Air Force for 7 years. I was a medic, medical technician for the Air Force. So for the NREMT, just always remember when you take the test, your ABCs. That's like the main thing you need to worry about.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I got like the crash course study guide. Everyone says study this more than the book because this covers what's going to be mostly on the test, stuff like that. And so yeah, I'm gonna try and be over prepared for it. I don't want to have to take it once. And there's like 4 out of 5 guys I've talked to. They're like, yeah, I had to take it like 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, I don't want that to happen. That's gonna make me too. So I want to pass that sucker on the first time and start learning fire training. So that's pretty cool. Oh, so you went to San Antonio if you were in the Air Force, right?
Yep. I joined the Air Force when I was 27.
Okay.
So I was like, and then like I'm just literally sitting there during basic training, and I'm lying there like on my bed thinking, I'm a 27-year-old man that just joined the military, and here's like 17 and 18-year-old kids.
Yeah, 18-year-olds.
Yeah, and I'm like, what was I thinking? But I obviously like that. I think that was the best decision, and unfortunately, I only made it to 7 years because I moved down south to Georgia because I'm originally from the Northeast, so I was originally from Massachusetts, and so I was trying to find a base down here, and then all of a sudden I found out I was a diabetic, so I couldn't, get back in again. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, both my dad and brother were in the Air Force. My dad was he was a reserve, but he retired I think a major in the Air Force.
Oh, very cool.
So I grew up kind of like going to Lackland Air Force Base and stuff like once a year or something like that. I always thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's interesting because I was I did like I was a reservist too, so I did like a 2-week tour down to Lackland and back again. And like all these kids were like coming in like super sick because I was working in the ER, and like the problem is like with those small spaces, everyone can get sick really quick, and so and just like you could smell like you could just smell like the sweatiness and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it like, even when I went to to learn to become a medic, well, a med tech, like you could tell when the new crew is coming in from basic training because they have that like this awful smell that like comes in just from like them being so sweaty. It's just like,
Yeah.
God, like I don't know how you can stand in this room. It smells so bad.
The BO is just like off the charts,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, pretty much.
It's like a high school boys locker room.
Yep, yeah, it's exactly what it smells like. And even the girls too, like they come in and you're just like, oh my
Oh,
God.
yep. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I'm 29 and be starting I got like 8 months of a boot camp. I don't think it's gonna be as extreme as like military boot camp, but
It's not
definitely
that extreme. It's not that extreme.
no.
No.
I know like for us, it'll be like stand at attention. You're gonna I have to ask permission to pass by anyone ahead, ranked higher or something like that. That's not cadet. I gotta shine my boots, press everything. So they'll do inspections and stuff like that on us. But I mean, I get to drive home and sleep in my bed.
Yeah.
So I think it's a long 8 months, and but once you're done, it's going to be a very probably gratifying feeling.
I completely agree. So we're getting close to the end of the podcast. So I for one of the podcasts I listened to is like the Matt, Josh Bridges, and like Savan podcast. So they actually talked about the rower, the assault bike, and the bike erg. So which one do you think would be a good machine to gain endurance with?
Yeah, all of them.
I know all of them.
Okay, if I had to pick one though, man, that's a tough call between the assault bike and the rower. They both have their pros and cons. The assault bike, I think the range of motion is really good on the rower and the amount of power you can put into it and sustain. So probably the rower over the assault bike, but the assault bike's close because you can the consistency and range of motion with your arms and legs is going to be great, and you're going to not just get lactic threshold, but aerobic built capacity out of that too. I think the C2 bike, while is really good, like if you're going to get a spin bike, go get a C2 bike. I think it's a good buy. Like, please don't go buy a Peloton over a C2 bike.
It's cheaper.
It's way cheaper, and I think it's better. Like, that's just my opinion. But the thing with that is it's just pumping the legs up and whatnot. Like, yeah, you're going to breathe really hard, and it can be really tough. But I think it's way more muscular endurance versus muscular and aerobic. And so with the assault bike, you have a little bit more between. And with the rower, I would say that you can get really good on both. Mm-hmm. Like both. But, I mean, you're only really using posterior on the rower. So I think with the assault bike, you're probably going to get quite a bit of both, a little bit of anterior and posterior work. But you're also getting a lot more back muscle pulling and stuff like that. So if I had to choose, I think I would pick a rower over an assault bike, but assault bike's only like $600. So
yeah, true.
I mean, I don't know. They're both great tools, but I would say the rower.
Okay, yeah, very cool.
Definitely a really good tool to get endurance.
All right, cool. So I know obviously you're going to be going to the Fire Academy for like 8 months, but do you have any like goals you want to hit at the end of the year? Like obviously graduating and becoming a firefighter, but do you have like anything else like, with the pathway programming or any like, family life or whatnot?
Well, me and my wife want to have a kid, so that's, hopefully going to happen over the next year. And then obviously, I think I've posted a couple times about like my strength. It's only been about 7 to 8 months of strength building. And I didn't intentionally start that until like I saw the gains I got after I retired. I just stopped metconning so much. And next thing you know, my strength and size started getting up. Like I gained a lot of weight, but, I did like my last CrossFit total yesterday as a giveaway thing. I hit like a PR, like a 501 squat, 236 strict press, and then like a PR deadlift at 580.
Shoot.
Like, so I was like, I really wanted to like just, one more day of like really pulling some heavy barbells to see what I can get. That was pretty cool. So yeah, I think that was like my last hurrah of like, hey man, like you're just going in a different stage of life now. You don't need to be lifting so heavy. I think I'll have like base numbers I always want to be able to hit, like a 225 snatch, 315 clean, and like a 400 squat. Always have that base. So I'm sure I'll be able to do more at some point in my life. But now, me and my wife both are like, we're both stronger than we've ever been. Like my wife too. And we both are like, we are thick and strong right now. And none of our clothes fit. So we both have to get like new clothes and stuff. So I think we're anxious to kind of like lean back up. And I was like, let's see how good we can get at body weight. Like I can't run near as fast as I used to. I used to be a really good, like, hey, put me on a mile repeat. I can do that like sub 6 minute mile repeats like all day long. I can't do that at all. I don't think I could run. I could barely run a 7 minute mile now probably. And that's slow for me. Like, so I would love to get back down to like a 6 minute mile pace run. I'd love to see how many strict pull-ups and gymnastics things I can get, like how many unbroken pull-ups, strict, and push-ups. And I told my wife, I was like, I would love to get like 30 unbroken ring muscle-ups too.
Wow.
I think my best ever as a competitor was like 26 or something. And after I saw, what's his name?
Noah Olson did 30 strict ring muscle-ups.
Strict ring muscle ups?
I'm sorry. He did 30 ring muscle ups.
Oh god, what on earth? Yeah, there's been a few guys that could hit it, and it's really impressive. I made like a goal at one point to say I want to hit 30 unbroken ring muscle ups and a 300-pound snatch in the same day. And I gained too much weight to be able to. As I was trying to get my snatch up, I gained too much weight to be able to get my ring muscle ups up. So I was like, all right, let's just go to a 300-pound snatch and a 400 plus clean. And like finally, I hit my 300-pound snatch and then the 405 clean over the past 2 weeks. So those ones like were like, you know what, that's pretty cool. I'm good with those lifting goals. Let's get back to gymnastic stuff. While I'm, gonna be in like 110-degree heat in this fireman suit training all summer.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think for me it's just gonna be like, hey, shed off some weight, see what we can get running wise now, like speed up to, and maybe and like some gymnastic stuff, like like calisthenic type stuff. And then I'll probably lift like once a week, pick up a barbell just to be familiar, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you get that big rig in your backyard too, so.
Yeah, that was a gift from a friend that made it for me.
Nice.
Like, I was really lucky. Like I'm spoiled with the setup I have. So, I mean, I use it to train a lot of people. So, but like I've got the setup to take that.
Very cool. Very cool. So, do you have like a favorite book you like to read, or like to give as a gift to your friends at all?
Favorite book to read. I wish I could say something really cool right now. I wish I had something like to say. I mean, there's good books out there. Like, you know what? Okay, I'll say this. I wish there was a book that everyone would read, and it's called Why We Sleep. And I am blanking on the author's name. It's written by this PhD guy who's like a head researcher of like what goes through our body when we sleep. Mm-hmm. Dude, I love that book. If everyone could read that book to learn that it's like, hey, like you're not sleeping enough or the right way, like this would create help so many problems you have in health and life, so I how like some people are extremely passionate about like nutrition. I'm like kind of like that way on like sleep. So I think they go hand in hand, but like I think nutrition is like an obvious thing, and sleep is so overlooked.
I completely agree. Yeah.
So,
and especially have kids too. So.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't. I mean, as soon as you have kids, you're like, this is gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard, but I think it's worth the effort. I don't think it'll be perfect for anyone, but I think it's worth the effort. You have a better mindset, better work life. So I would say why we sleep.
Okay.
I think you can probably get it on Amazon or something like that. But that's a good book to read.
Very cool. So what would you tell a person that has dreams or ambitions to get into the CrossFit Games? Like what to expect that you're going to deal with before you get to the games?
It's funny actually. I just picked up a new client who is from Cairo, Egypt, and his name's Ibrahim, and he's a really nice kid. He's 21 years old, and seems like he's got a lot of good potential. He's new to it. He's only a year in, and I think he got like 127th in the African quarterfinals. So he did really well.
That's good.
Like I think they only take top 30 people, but I was like, hey, that's a great first year. So we're going to start working together and developing him into an athlete, I think, and for future, competitions in the open and whatnot. And we kind of talked, and I was like, listen, like, this is a hard task. You have to know that. And you got to know the commitment it takes. So, like, you got to plan long term and aspects of, like, if you want to get to the CrossFit Games, look at how long it took some people to get there. And then the fact that it's not guaranteed every year. I guess I would try to tell them up front, like, this is hard work, but if you love it enough, if you want it bad enough, like, you'll put the work in. If you don't love every aspect of, how to get there, you're probably not going to make it. That's what I used to tell. I think I used to tell people, like, in interviews, stuff like, what does it take to get there? And I said, I just love it all. Even the stuff that sucks, you enjoy making yourself do it because it and push you towards your goal. So, like, even the recovery, even the saying no to your friends and going out, even the eating the slice of pizza that was offered by your friend or something like that, I would say Snickers bar, but Matt said you can have those, so everyone's probably gonna be like, I'm eating Snickers bar. And whatnot. So that's what I would say. Like, if you don't enjoy it, like, even the hard stuff and the stuff that's boring, doing the 30-minute raw mud each night, or going to sit in a dry sauna for 30 minutes each evening, torturing yourself with ice baths, or not watching TV before bed, reading something to calm your mind. Yeah, if you don't love every aspect of it, it's gonna be really hard to get there. Yeah. So, like, you kind of be that into it.
Right. Yep, I completely agree. So, where can people, like, reach out to you for, like, your programming, or like pathway programming, or any questions that they have about even the Fire Academy or anything like that? Where can they reach you?
Instagram. I'm on there. I actually have 2 accounts now. Like, J CrossFit Cook has been my Instagram handle forever now, and then I just opened another one called Pathway Fitness. For my, I like to post videos of, like, clients and stuff that I train a lot of kids, so I post videos of, like, kids on there. It's like, I love working with kids, like teaching them how to lift stuff. So I like to kind of show them off on there as long as their parents say it's okay.
Yeah.
There's only, like, I think I've got like 10 followers on that account right now, so I haven't really promoted it, but yeah, like, either one of those accounts, if you DM me, I'll see it and I'll get back to it. And I don't get, like, a crazy amount of DMs, so if you DM me, I'll most likely get back to you.
And he is quick to respond back too, by the way. So.
Do what now?
I said you are quick to respond back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if I see something, I'm like, ooh, someone talk to me. Yeah. Like, comment, cool. Like, I think I go up and down on followers and stuff, but I never have been a very, like, big character that people are, like, always like, I'm so inspired. This. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But so, like, I think whenever someone does reach out, I'm like, oh yeah, let me talk to this person. So.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate, you taking your time off, especially on the weekend before you have to go to, Fire Academy to even talk to me.
Right and early.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing this.
No, yeah, it was fun. I appreciate reaching out. I love, to kind of always pass on my experiences with CrossFit and stuff. So appreciate the platform to do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.